It's now time for your favorite in-depth basketball show with the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops. Goulet!
It's the WrestleMania of the summer season. Welcome to a special episode of Full Court Press. I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet, joined by the one and only Nard Dogg David Bernardi, and we are going to talk some wrestling. Nard Dogg, we have not done this in a while. Are you excited to talk WWE SummerSlam?
Oh, I think I am, Goulet. I think I am.
Fantastic. Now, I do want to preface this by saying and admitting that I did not actually watch SummerSlam. I know what the results of the matches are, so I'll weigh in as best as I can. I know that you watched all of SummerSlam, Nard Dogg. You actually went to the theater to watch it, which I'm a little jealous of because I feel like that would be a lot of fun. But
all the wrestling nerds.
hey, I consider myself one of those wrestling nerds, and I know I just said I didn't watch SummerSlam, so maybe that kind of discounts some of that. But I still love pro wrestling. I think it's awesome, and I'm excited that we're going to talk about SummerSlam. As the WWE says, the biggest party of the summer. So let's just get right to it. Look at some of these match results. I know you wanted to talk about Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens defeating Enzo Amore and Big Cass, but before we get to that, I just want to throw a quick note to the match that came before that, Sheamus versus Cesaro. Now, Sheamus defeated Cesaro. It's the first match in a best-of-7 series. I'm not a fan of Sheamus. I think he's bland and boring. I like Cesaro a little bit better. The WWE's kind of screwed around with him a little bit, but I do want to say this about this contest here. I like that they're doing a best-of-7 series. I think it's nostalgic for me because Booker T and John Cena did something like that. I believe it was a best-of-5 series back around 2004, 2005 when John Cena was still a mid-card guy, but a top mid-card guy, just about to win the WWE Championship. They did an awesome feud over the United States title, and I think it's cool when you have a best-of-7 series, kind of like a playoff competition with two wrestlers. I think that's really neat, and I like that the WWE's doing that. That's all I want to say about that match, but let's talk about Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens defeating Big Cass and Enzo. I know you're a big fan of Cass and Enzo, as the entire world is, because they're hilarious and awesome.
Yeah, that entrance they come out to is always gold. It's just, I just get excited whenever it comes on. I just mark out, and yeah, they fought against Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens, who have, I guess, formed an alliance. Basically, they're just like two Canadian pricks. They form like a kind of a duo, and they beat Enzo and Cass.
You know, it worked out for them. I like Jericho, well, Jericho as they're called, Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens, a little bit better than Chris Jericho and AJ Styles. I enjoyed AJ Styles teaming up with Chris Jericho, but it didn't really make sense what happened there. They were a tag team, and then they broke up, and they got back together. I was like, what is going on here? But I like Team Jericho. I hope they stick together and actually they do something with this, because Kevin Owens had kind of gotten a little bit stale. It's like the WWE didn't know what to do with this tremendously talented athlete. Put him with another guy who's extremely talented in Chris Jericho, and they're two Canadians. It's a fantastic team. I think it's great.
Yeah, they're just like assholes. That's a character.
Which is hilarious. You know, the WWE needs those villains that are just dirty and they don't care about anyone else. And then they need the comedy. They need the amazing faces. And Enzo Amore and Big Cass play that role so well.
Yeah, I love Enzo and Cass, but I just have a feeling that soon Cass is just he's gonna enter the main event scene and maybe challenge for the belts, the top belts.
As unfortunate as it is to say this, if one of them were to break free and become a single star, I'd say it would probably be Big Cass, just because he's Big Cass. Like Enzo Amore has that
big tall.
And you can't teach that. They're so much fun together. I personally, I don't know which one I like better. Enzo Amore is kind of like the crazy little brother, and Big Cass is just the big Hulk, big quiet Hulk. But they just work so well together. You can tell that they get along in real life. They just have such a great chemistry.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them break up anytime soon. If they do break up, I want both of them to have success. I could see Enzo Amore, maybe he can compete for the cruiserweight title. If like a cruiserweight and Big Cass. Because are they bringing back the cruiserweight championship? I'm not.
Yeah, I believe so on Raw. They are.
Okay, perfect. So Enzo Amore, if he could compete for the cruiserweight title, and Big Cass could maybe start off going for the United States Championship, and then eventually move his way up to the now Universal Championship on Monday Night Raw.
Now, on to the next match. We saw Sasha Banks versus Charlotte. And Sasha won the WWE Women's Championship on the very first Raw brand split episode about a month ago. And that was a huge moment for her career. She was all emotional at the end. She loved it. I loved it, of course, because I'm a big Sasha Banks fan. And then we see at SummerSlam Charlotte defeating her. And it was a pretty violent match, actually. There's a lot of sketchy moves that happened.
Oh, yeah, and when the next night on Raw, Charlotte said that she had injured Sasha's back, but the reality was that Sasha actually did get injured in the match, and that's why she lost the title.
Yeah, I believe it was off some botched move from Charlotte.
Unfortunate. Unfortunate for sure, but it could be a blessing in disguise when a wrestler gets injured, especially like someone like Sasha Banks, because when she comes back, the pop she's gonna get is gonna be huge, and I'll bet that she's gonna regain the WWE Women's Championship and actually get that long reign that she deserves and that they probably intended her to have in the first place.
Yeah, she totally deserves it. But the newest talent in women's wrestling, Bayley, made her debut on Raw the next night after SummerSlam. So, I don't know, it could be a while till Sasha Banks gets another chance, but I'd love to see it happen.
Very true. Maybe we'll see a triple threat down the line. Bayley versus Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. Who knows?
That would be pretty cool.
You know, you could see Bayley feud with Charlotte, and you never know. Bayley could win the women's championship, and then Sasha Banks could come back, celebrate with her or something like that, make her return, and then turn heel and feud for the women's championship against Bayley. Because Bayley's, the fans love her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really watch NXT much, but she's got a lot of fans over there.
That she does. She certainly does. Now, what about any thoughts on The Miz retaining the Intercontinental Championship against Apollo Crews? Anything there? Any thoughts?
Well, I think it was pretty obvious results. But about Miz, there was something else that happened on the SmackDown after SummerSlam, where he got into it with Daniel Bryan on and there's a show called Talking Smack after SmackDown every SmackDown, and it was one of the best segments I've seen in the WWE in a very long time. Miz absolutely killed it. Just the way that Daniel Bryan stood up and just left the studio after the things that the Miz was saying, I give the Miz props. It just sounded so real. It was probably the best thing I've seen in the WWE since the pipe bomb by CM Punk.
Wow, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, the Miz, he surprised me.
He's a good talker, and the Miz has shown improvement over the years. If you watch footage of when the Miz first debuted, he had some trouble on the mic from time to time, especially when he was hosting the Raw Divas Search.
And listening to the things he was saying in that segment, it just seemed like it seemed actually real. Like he wasn't rehearsing it or anything. He actually came from the heart. Like he got really riled up.
Made it legit.
So I would check that out on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that and check out the Miz's current mic skills. And Maurice is back, so that's kind of cool to incorporate that real life aspect.
That's very beautiful. Very beautiful news.
Yes, that it is. Now, moving along on the SummerSlam card, AJ Styles defeated John Cena. Does that put an end to that feud?
Honestly, I don't even know, but basically that was the best match at SummerSlam. I'll give it that.
Yeah. Well,
Those two, they've been putting on some really good matches.
it was the longest match on the card, coming in at 23 minutes, and that's much longer than that. Yeah, that's by far the longest match on the card this year.
Yeah, those two have been putting on some good shows, and all two of them. They're John Cena especially. He's surprised me so much. He's a good wrestler. I'll admit that he's done really well.
That's the thing. I've been a fan of John Cena's ever since. I've been a fan of his for over 10 years now. And John Cena, growing up watching wrestling, John Cena was my Hulk Hogan, and John Cena he's such a polarizing figure in the world of wrestling, but he is very talented. He's very good at what he does.
And I love he's not going on about like he should be champion. He's just doing these matches with these feuds with AJ Styles. And when he had the U.S. belt, he had those open challenges. He's been doing really well.
He goes in and does his job. He entertains us, and it's awesome. There's a reason why John Cena is still the face of the WWE.
Yeah. And give props to AJ Styles too. He's done pretty well in my opinion since he came over to the WWE.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I agree, and it's great to finally see him in the WWE after so many years of success in TNA and Ring of Honor.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's WWE champion in the next year.
I'd love to see that, and then put him back with Gallows and Anderson. Maybe incorporate Finn Balor in there, get a little Bullet Club action going.
Oh yeah, they actually had a segment on SummerSlam where AJ Styles was talking to Gallows and Anderson, and Finn Balor actually came into the tag, and they were trying to give him
the Too Sweet.
The Too Sweet.
Yeah, I saw that.
Finn Balor just looks at them and just walks away. But who knows? Maybe that's a start of maybe something that's going to happen down the road.
A little foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Gallows and Anderson, they defeated the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, by disqualification. Any thoughts on that match? It was for the Tag Team Championship, of course. Since Gallows and Anderson won by disqualification, the New Day retained the belts.
Yeah, I mean, it was all right. Big E came in and disqualified New Day. And, I don't know, I like the New Day, but I think it's time they possibly lost the tag belts.
I could see it happening by the end of this year, that we're going to have new Tag Team Champions, especially with the brand split. Yeah. And going to the top championship, the WWE World Championship, Dean Ambrose is still the title holder, which I'm very happy about. It would have been nice to see Dolph Ziggler as the champion, but I like Dean Ambrose. I'm happy that he's the WWE champion.
I have no comment about this. I think Dean Ambrose is nice and all. He's good, but I don't know. I'm just not sold as him being the champion.
He still needs to have that one moment to prove the Nard Dogg that he deserves the belts.
And this was a pretty obvious match. Like Dolph Ziggler was not going to beat him.
No.
What I think they're trying to do is they're trying to give Dean Ambrose like a couple months or so as being champion, and then eventually they'll give it to someone else that's on SmackDown.
Give it to someone else, or just see how he does. Maybe someone will get traded to SmackDown. There'll be a new face that debuts. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe Samoa Joe will make his debut on SmackDown.
I would love to see that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
I would love to see, I don't know, Samoa Joe against AJ Styles for the belt. That'd be great.
Oh, that'd be excellent. Yep. It's a year from now, the picture in the WWE will look a lot different. Just maybe even a month from now, you could say that could be the case.
Yeah, that's true.
Now
on to the next match, it's just kind of another no comment scenario.
Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and Nikki Bella. The returning Nikki Bella defeated Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Carmella. I like Becky Lynch. I like the last kicker. I think she's very cool. I will say that.
Now, if we're going to talk about the divas not the divas anymore, the women wrestlers on SmackDown. They just started they're going to have their own championship on SmackDown. So
I like that. Honestly, they're bringing prestige back to the women's division. And that's how it should be. I respect the WWE for doing that. I think it's a great idea. I think it's excellent. I've been a fan of the brand split ever since I heard about it, and it's turned out really nicely. It makes sense to have two separate rosters. It's good. I like it, and mainly, one of the reasons why is because I grew up watching the WWE when it was like the brands were split. I grew up watching Batista face Triple H on Raw when he first won the World Heavyweight Championship, and John Cena versus JBL on SmackDown when Cena first won the WWE Championship. So I'm used to that brand split. It's kind of like it takes me back to when I first started watching it.
I think it's going to be pretty gutless if they don't give Becky Lynch that first belt.
I hope she gets it, but I would not be surprised if they gave it to Nikki Bella.
Becky Lynch has clearly been the best women's wrestler in WWE for the past year. That would be a pretty gutless move on their part not to give her that belt, but that's just me.
I agree with you. I want Becky Lynch to be the first SmackDown Women's Champion. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. Now, speaking of inaugural championships, Finn Balor, Prince Devitt, won the WWE Universal Championship. That's Raw's top title now. He won it by defeating Seth Rollins. What did you think of that match? We'll talk about what happened after the match, the aftermath of that, but what did you think about the match itself?
Well, I thought the match was really great. That and the Cena-Styles match. Those were probably the two only good matches of the night. And yeah, it was nice to see Finn Balor win it all. I think they pushed him too hard, too early to be in the WWE. I think they should have slowed down that demon character. They should have waited a few months for it to happen, but it was nice to see him win that belt.
One of those really good, sweet moments as a wrestling fan where you're like, yes, this is finally happening. And that's how I felt when Dean Ambrose won the championship. So it's like, yes, Prince Devitt. Well, Finn Balor now is the WWE Universal Champion. But then the next night, legitimate injury to Finn Balor. He is legitimately injured, recovering, had to forfeit the title, which is huge bummer. It's
once again, Seth Rollins injures another wrestler.
Yeah, well, we do remember Sting. My Sting did get injured in a match against Seth Rollins and had to retire. But the thing is, mistakes happen. So no reason to point fingers. Shit happens in the world of wrestling. So I do like that they didn't give the title to Seth. Like, it seems like it could have been a very WWE thing to do to just give the title to Seth Rollins. I'm happy that they're actually giving other wrestlers a chance at the WWE Universal Championship. It's a brand new title, clean slate. Do something different with it. I like what they're doing.
Yeah. I don't personally like the name Universal Champion.
I get it because the WWE Universe, that's obviously where they got it from. I think they could have just done WWE Championship and World Heavyweight Championship. Just go back to like what they had just a few years ago before they combined the two titles.
Yeah.
Who would you like to see as the WWE Universal Champion?
I don't know, who do we got there? We got Kevin Owens. I don't know, I'd like to see Kevin Owens win it.
You see Kevin Owens?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Have Kevin Owens turn.
Not Roman Reigns.
No, not Roman Reigns. We saw how that went.
Speaking of Roman Reigns, the next match against Rusev for the United States Championship did not even happen.
That's because Reigns injured Rusev before the match.
And I don't know what they're trying to do. Are they trying to make him into some badass that just hurts people, and that's his thing?
I don't know. Like, Roman Reigns, I think he got his time to shine. It didn't really work out.
Well, he is in the. They're having a fatal 4-way match on Raw for
Fair
the
enough.
universe.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But he's not going to win.
No.
They're just putting him in just because.
Because Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Now, like you mentioned injuring other people. Let's talk about Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar defeated Randy Orton by a technical knockout by bloodying Orton. Like, apparently Orton was supposed to bleed. Like Lesnar is supposed to knock him out, but Lesnar, I saw the footage and it just looked like Lesnar took it way too far.
Yeah. I used to love this Lesnar coming out and just destroying everyone, but I'm sick of it now. I can't take it anymore. And I think that match against Randy Orton was the final straw where I think that WWE should just release him, like not even bother with him anymore. It's just
legitimately hurting other people.
Huh? Yeah. I don't think he does it for other people either. I don't think Paul Heyman can save him with his mic skills. I don't know. I'm sick of Lesnar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was a final nail in the coffin right there. That match.
The final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, they're just keeping him on because he makes them all this money, and I don't think the fans like it anymore. That match against Orton, you could hear fans saying, "Lesnar, just end this match already."
Yeah, it's a little too much. I like Randy Orton too, but it looks like he legitimately hurt Randy Orton. And Chris Jericho, there's some reports that Jericho and Lesnar got into it backstage. I don't know what actually happened, but apparently there's a little bit of a shoving match backstage over what happened.
Well, what happened was Jericho, I guess he saw all the blood and stuff, and he didn't think it was a work, so he got heated. And being the veteran he is, and the kind of guy he is, he stood up to Lesnar, which I love. I love that from Jericho.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I love it. Like, I think Jericho, he's like sticking up for like the whole roster.
Mm-hmm.
Lesnar.
Yep.
And then Orton told Jericho after that, yeah, it was a work and all that, but like you said, Lesnar took it too far.
Yep, took it just a little bit too far. Well, if you have any thoughts about SummerSlam 2016 or what's happening in the world of wrestling, you can chat with us about it on social media. Nard Dogg, where can people find you on the internet?
Find me on the Twitter and Instagram at DavidBernardi7.
Excellent. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JustinGoulet21. You can also go to our Facebook page, write any thoughts down there, and remember to hit the like button. That would be greatly appreciated. And you can check out our YouTube channel for past episodes of Full Court Press, and all future episodes will be posted on both the Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Justin Raindrops Goulet.
And I'm the Nard Dogg, David Bernardi.
And we'll catch you next time.
You've just been hit with Full Court Press. Courtesy of the men, the myths, the legends, Nard Dogg and Raindrops Goulet.